Good evening, one and all. Welcome to Show Business. I come to you as always as Charles, otherwise known as Sipo. Apologies for the flashback intro there, but there's a StreamYard issue. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Joining us this week is Lindsay. Lindsay, my 2 cents of nonsense.
Yeah, no, I'm the dude who says the words, and they're all the nonsense, and sometimes there's two of it. I'm currently in a hotel in Portland, Oregon. I apologize if I sound or look weird. I mean, I always look weird, but Batman, so that makes up for it,
right? Yes, the Batman counters everything.
Woo.
And joining us is Gray Poupée. How are you, Gray?
I'm doing good. As long as we're apologizing for looking weird. Sorry as well. But yeah,
your hair is magnificent. You take that back, okay?
Well, thank you. It's about all I got going for me. But yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. Let's talk about good times in show business. Box office guy. This sounds fun.
Yes. So there, I have no excuses. Actually, my excuse is StreamYard, but I don't have a still image to show you for the weekend that was. So here comes video, and we're able to talk underneath it. Nice. And Civil War was the big hitter of the weekend, making $25.7 million. Godzilla
and America Civil War.
Yes. Just plain old American Civil War.
Couple of surprises up there, though. I did not realize that Shrek 2 was out until you had just showed us that.
Yeah. Shrek released to a couple thousand theaters and pulled in 1 point. Now I have to watch the entire video again. 1.3
I'm sorry.
million. It's all right. 1.45 million. Oh, on 1,500 screens. The one that kind of is confusing to me is Monkey Man at 4 million. That one's kind of falling like a lead balloon.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the advertisement didn't have something to do with that. Like, it really sold it like a John Wick type movie.
Yes.
So I think word of mouth kind of came out that it's not that. So I don't know.
It's not that. Hello, everyone in chat. Hello, Sean, Vincent, Dice, Deadhead, cheers, cold one. I don't know if it's ice cold, but it'll have to do. So yeah, Alex Garland's Civil War. Well, Gray, you're on a more cursed version of Twitter. What have you been seeing the reception for?
So I've been seeing a lot of hatred, actually, which is interesting because I don't know. The hatred is for what the movie isn't, but it's not really for what the movie is, which is kind of a weird thing. So yeah, with Alex Garland and A24, I don't know. You kind of know what you're getting, but with the title Civil War, I guess people were expecting the actual war. But
yes,
I don't know. It really seems like I don't know. The war is really the setting, not the subject of it. I've heard somebody else say like it's the context, not the content, and I guess some people are really not happy with that. They really feel like it should be taking sides. But from hearing a whole lot of interviews with Alex Garland, essentially he's really going out of his way not to have this like heavy-handed with a message, really leave it up to the audience, and it's up to them to decide.
Yeah.
And I think he's losing some people with that, but I don't know. That seems to be the major argument that I'm seeing on it. And then I can go a little bit more into it, but I don't know. What are you seeing on the non-cursed side of Twitter? Or not as cursed side?
Yes. Gray's algorithm's a little funky. What is it? You see death on a constant rate, Gray?
Always. It is weird. Every time I open it, I see something I can't unsee. Yeah. I've done this to myself and I don't know how, but yeah, it's always disturbing.
The AI bots do not like Gray. It is pretty clear. Yeah. Lindsay, have you seen anything in regards to Civil War? Because I didn't click on the video or read the article, but I saw the title of a particular video by another hatted person, and I was like, that's not the movie, like, at all.
I do definitely see a lot of people out there, like, calling it, like, liberal propaganda.
Yes.
Or just upset that, the not taking sides thing. And the not taking sides thing is funny to me, because if the movie did distinctly take a side, it would lose more people than it's losing by not taking a side. Like, you get what I mean with that? Like,
well, the other thing is, right off the bat, if you know anything about America, the fact that Texas and California are a coalition should pretty much tell you that like reality's out the window. Like if there were two states that would be a coalition, I would probably put those two at the bottom. So like that could have been the first sign.
Yeah, and he explains that away too, that there is this fascist president who has taken over for a third term and has turned at least drones on the American public and sees press as the enemy. You know, perhaps something larger than left, right could unite someone, and I guess that's what he's thinking, but I don't know. A lot of people are upset because the original maps that were kind of like released for who is at civil war in this were a little bit more like East Coast versus West Coast. It didn't include this Texas, California thing. So it kind of seems like maybe that was an afterthought, but I can understand why he's doing it. He's trying to do it to get over that whole, like, this isn't about left, right. Like, look, these two joined. They're going against a threat that is, you know, distinctly anti-American. So well, I don't know. It kind of makes sense if they're going to try and stay out of it to go that route with it, but that's going to piss some people off.
Yeah, it's you don't need to have Biggie Tupac to understand that, you know, things happen. I'm sorry, Lindsay, I kind of trampled on you there.
Oh no, you're good. It's fascinating, and like initially I was kind of annoyed by the decision because I like a lot of the trailers. I was like, I want to see the movie where Texas and California decided they hate everyone but each other. Like that sounds insanely interesting. Show me that. But now that I've like seen the movie, oh my god, seeing the movie changes your perspective. What?
Yeah.
Like it kind of makes sense. Like if you really dig into like a lot of the stuff in the movie. Like you can kind of draw that like, oh, this is trying to be like liberal propaganda, like because like they talk about how they killed a bunch of Antifa, like there was an Antifa massacre, you know, that has some implications to it. The guy going for a third term, that's got some implications to it. Hating on the press, again, implications. But at the same time, like it's never really.
They also give drone strikes, drone striking Americans or whatever, which is another reference, but to the other side. Like he's kind of trying to mix things together, but.
Obama did so many drone strikes, like you could easily tie that into being like a liberal thing. It's sure. But that's why it's kind of fascinating too, like because it's showing like what would happen and how America would react to it if like we went like let's oversimplify and say we're like in like baby's first fascism steps here like a few years ago. Not saying we are, but like if we were to go full-blown fascist like a couple years down the road, it might kind of look like this in a way. Like look at the Jesse Plemons scene, for instance, which
what kind of American are you? That's all you need to. That's the only line I remember from that movie.
I mean, it's the line.
I don't know. There's a couple of them.
It was going to get memed to hell, and God, is it getting memed to hell?
For sure.
I love it too. Like,
I'd love to show some of those, but StreamYard.
Well, I'm sure people have seen.
Like he's there and he's like killing people and he's like seeing who's American and not American, but he also never says which side of the conflict he's on.
Right.
Like, he never confirms that he's Western forces or with the president. So like you can draw from him doing what he's doing however you want. Like you know, killing people who aren't from America, I guess you can argue is more right wing, but like. What am I talking about? But I don't want to get into that. But it's the nebulousness of it is what makes it interesting. Like, he's doing things that could be considered right wing, but those pink glasses he's wearing, I don't really. Right?
See, and he's wearing the camouflage and everything too, but there's absolutely no like actual like emblems on it of any kind. Like you're just kind of making assumptions. He does have a military style weapon and fatigues, but. Yeah, it still is ambiguous, and it's kind of painstakingly ambiguous. Same thing with the sniper scene where, you know, you assume these guys in like full ghillie suits are like, you know, military, but when it shows them, one guy's got like rainbow nails and both of them have like rainbow colored hair. So I don't know, like it is very ambiguous and intentionally that way.
Well, in that scene in particular, like he says, like, which side of the conflict are you on? And he just looks at him and just like, oh, you're an idiot, not paying attention to the fact that someone's shooting at us right now.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to shoot him. He's trying to shoot me.
Yeah. Do we need to do anything more than that? I'm not trying to kill you. He's trying to kill you. What do you want?
Yeah, I like when he's like, he asks the younger journalist girl and he's like, what's happening right now? And then she just like, yeah, that guy over there in that building's trying to kill him and he's trying to kill him. See?
But in
That's
that
the
scene
one that
too,
thing
like,
because that like felt like a little side story, which really kind of played into
mhm.
like the heart of darkness and like a civil war, like apocalypse now thing that was going on. I loved how it was like totally willing to do just like little side stories that don't really come up again, and but they all kind of play into the theme as they're going on this little journey. It was a great road trip story.
Yeah, it really kind of is. It's way more of a road trip story than like a war movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is interesting, and I guess a lot of those were kind of happy accidents. Both Jesse Plemons, I guess, was not originally cast on this and came in like last minute. Just yeah, the other person had to bow out contractually, and Kirsten Dunst happens to be married to him, so it wasn't so hard to get him on board. But he came in with like a day's notice, and that's I noticed in every trailer, and it's what everyone's talking about is that scene. And then the one with the like rather strange Christmas village thing. Apparently, they were scouting locations, and somebody just dumped like an entire like Christmas scene there, so they just used it. But yeah, like added this weird level to it. Yeah,
it definitely gives it like a surreal, almost dreamlike feel to it. But at least
for
that's
sure.
Yeah. So the quote I read, and this is just again, this is just the title of the video.
Yeah.
From Timcast IRL,
yes.
which is Tim Pool's little show there. Anti-Trump
so I happen to watch that
movie.
One.
Oh, please fulfill me on context.
So they really do see it as an anti-Trump one. They see that Offerman is a thinly veiled Trump, and then the fact that he says like the greatest something, that's a thinly veiled reference. They kind of mentioned everything else that we had kind of mentioned are all thinly veiled references to the right, and the fact that he's going for a third term and that he has declared press the enemy is essentially like that has to be Offerman as him. It doesn't explain how or why, and that really upset them. But everyone that you meet is right wing, some sort of like hillbilly, but you meet no liberals at any point in there. And I think that's them reading into it. Like he's intentionally ambiguous. I would argue that the reporters are pretty liberal, but on top of that, you just don't know who these soldiers are. Like the sniper scene specifically, like it's who are you shooting at? It's like who's ever shooting at us. Like it doesn't say who they are. It doesn't show exactly who any side is on this. Even when you get to the other shootout at like the school, the college. There's dudes in Hawaiian shirts. Like the other guys are in armor, but like who are the Hawaiian shirt guys? Like, is that Florida? I don't know. Like it's very strange. So I don't know, to say that those guys wouldn't possibly be liberal either just seems really weird. But yeah, the main thing was just like it is thinly veiled and it is anti-right wing. So I don't know. It gets really weird because I've also seen the left wing super blow up at this because some of the archival footage that they used is from Andy No. And apparently, like, there's a whole bunch of people going out of their way to say, like, yes, they used some archival footage from Andy No. And I can't remember the other lady's name, but she's also kind of cancer, if you will. So just the second that any of those got noted, everyone's like, I can't believe that I purchased a ticket to this. Like, I want A24 to never make money again. And essentially there's people coming out like, no, even though it's got Andy No's picture in it, like, don't worry, they didn't pay him. It's just archival. Like, it's okay. You can still appreciate this film. So it just seems weird. People are really hating it, not for what it is, but for what they're reading into it. But I'm seeing it from both sides. It's weird.
What I will kind of acknowledge and maybe agree with to a point is the fact that the trailer makes you think you're watching this year's rendition of, Dante's Peak, Armageddon, disaster porn, if you will, 2012, the modern day. They certainly present it like it's going to be this action thing. And
that Plemons scene was featured very prominently. And, if it was just a bunch of scenes like that, it'd be way more action packed. But,
right. And,
if gunshots really loud for you in the theaters?
Yes.
By the way?
Yes.
It felt like
they're
Garland
intentionally
really
supposed to be that way.
Oh yeah.
They did. They said like the sound design on this, they had no limitation as to like how loud they were going to make it. They really wanted it scary to take you out of it. And then Yeah, I don't think we mentioned, but this is A24's first shot at IMAX as well. So I don't know if you saw it in the IMAX release, but
No.
it wasn't filmed IMAX, but it's the first one they're releasing in IMAX. So
Cool.
Yeah, I think they up
That's-
converted it. Yeah.
mhm,
Well,
yeah.
that's sick. Go them.
So, I'm not sure if you saw it in one of those, but like the sound in those, like you're meant to feel it. So I can imagine that would just be killer. I just saw it in a regular one and it was super loud to me. But
Yeah.
they did that
It was-
intentionally to make it shocking and then to really undercut when they cut to silence, because they do that quite a few different times. And then they do a couple needle drops and some very interesting scenes as well. But I think they intentionally made the sound very shocking and real.
Yeah, it's the jump scares you get from those moments are better than, I don't know, any horror movie I've seen in the last 5 years or so, because it, like, there's the movie for the entire run, there's just like this constant build of tension. It's just always tense, and for these quiet pockets, like the gunshots and the explosions, like they totally catch you by surprise. And I don't know if it's that the sound was so loud, or if it's the fact that you go from like this tension right to this like explosion, this pop. But I
think
certainly,
it's both,
yeah.
because they really use that to their effect. And then,
Yeah.
like, you know, when they show the photos, just cut out everything, just
Oh.
absolute silence. It really showed me how like not silent my theater is. Just the air conditioners were going super loud. But yeah, it was interesting. I don't know. I'm assuming it's like literally cut to like zero sound there. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I really like the sound on this film.
there's like 4 or 5 images that are difficult to watch. I don't know. I'm assuming there's some sort of CGI to it, but there's one like pretty early on when they're fighting in New York with a tire. I think you guys will know what I'm talking about if I reference that. And it's just like, how the hell
Yeah.
did I get that on camera? That's whoa.
And I think that has ramifications to the end as well. Like I didn't realize it on the first watch, but like I don't know. I think that event scars her, and then when she sees more burning at the end, it seems to kind of bring that back. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but I think that tire scene has more significance than I initially thought. Like on the first watch.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just think it's fascinating. I mean, it's ambiguous and perhaps to a fault, but um, it, of all people, Tim Pool, who at least was a journalist, this movie kind of proves the importance of, you know, journalists during these conflicts, and how important it is to present, you know, non-biased images from the battle. Like it's the fact that it's America, people need to stop thinking about, oh, what would happen during an American Civil War. Never mind that. What if it were in Israel right now? What if it were in Ukraine right now? It would be the same backdrop. The American Civil War, even though the film is titled Civil War, is just that. It's just a backdrop. It's really about the journalists and the exchanges that these characters have. Like there's that moment at the gas station. Again, you don't know who's on what side, and it really doesn't matter. It's just like about the emotions and tension. There's that gas station scene where there's people being held against their will in a car wash or something, and it's just uneasy. The moment that they show, this is frustrating that they showed it in the trailer for a couple of reasons, but the exploding the RPG to the Lincoln Memorial, you would think that would be this big action set piece, but it really is just, you know, yeah, it's just this thing that's happening, and you're more with the people that are fighting. And I don't know if it's if you watch the trailer and went to expect that movie, you're going to be disappointed. If you're going to see a movie and have one of your political stances like emboldened, you're going to be disappointed. It's not really about one side or another. It's about
I think that's what
humanity.
most of the problems people have with it is that it didn't take one side or the other. I think that was the other part of the Tim Pool argument that I forgot to bring up. We kind of mentioned it, but the map somehow changed in production. So it used to be like kind of left coast versus right coast. So I guess you could kind of say, right versus left, but
Right.
the map was still kind of different because California was still, I believe, with like, I don't know, all those other red states around it and Texas. But the map definitely changed. They had a different one now where it does have basically just Texas and California versus Florida. And then there's a northern one that I can't remember what they are. And then the one that includes the president that overtook it. So I don't know. Their main issue was that he changed it. He wrote this. They kept referencing January 6th, even though it was like written before January 6th, which is, I don't know, kind of interesting. He wrote this back in like 2020. So I'm sure it's been updated a little bit since then, but it was kind of before a lot of stuff popped off. So I don't know. It is kind of interesting. There were a couple other people who were knocking it online that it's got no purpose. It tells nothing. It goes nowhere. It says nothing, does nothing, and accomplishes nothing. None of the characters have backstory or character. It tries so hard to be neutral that it says nothing. And then, just basically it doesn't explain anything. Those seem to be like, I know Drinker, it was pretty much saying all those. And then there's a couple other ones. Sorry, my dog is barking right now, but
I
don't hear it.
Oh, sweet. It's cutting him out. Cool, because all I can focus on is that dog barking. So I don't know. I think people might be focusing on the wrong thing or what they want this to be on, where you're right. Like this could be set anywhere else. It could be any other conflict. And it's just kind of the story of these embedded reporters or reporters attempting to go through a war zone to get a story. I don't know. It is kind of interesting. The other issues that I've heard is, like the actual battle takes place on July 4th, and it's, this group who's seizing control. So, that's clearly this right wing thing. I don't know. He's trying to be
set on July 4th. I completely missed that.
Yeah, so they're traveling to get to it by July 4th. So again, this is like this fascist dictator who took over America.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And on the 4th, we're getting independence from him, I guess, in a very graphic way.
There's a line of dialogue where they like for significance, they want to get it done by that day.
Oh, okay. That rings a bell. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Damn. Okay. This movie's got layers, guys. It's like a cake or an onion.
It's just strange that. Go on, Greg.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know. To me, I keep seeing people kind of want it to be about so much more, but I do feel like I knew the characters. I don't feel like there's no characterization in there. Like you see the old guard, the current guard, and the new guard, and then kind of their different philosophies as to what they should be passing on to the next one, like their kind of different viewpoints. And I thought there were some amazing performances. I feel like I really got to know those like core four, if you will. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I really knew a lot of the other characters, but that's on purpose. Like you're not supposed to really understand where like Jesse Plemons' character is coming from, or I don't know, even Offerman, like he's intentionally not going into what started this, what this guy's affiliation is. Instead, it's just, this is the events that are happening. These are how these people would be in that. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot going on in this to me, but it is a very romanticized version of the press and journalism, I guess, in my opinion. I don't know that, I don't know. Some of the language and the lines that he uses are really, they're kind of flowery, and they really kind of wink to the camera as to like the importance of those documenting things. And I don't know. It felt a little heavy-handed to me, but I think that's still a message. I think it's not about nothing.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's aimless. I don't think that at all.
Alex Garland, he made this with intention.
Yeah, like it for the end of the movie, the final shot really kind of makes you resent everything. Like the fact that final image is what we got from that entire trip. You're like, oh, These people are
Yeah.
terrible.
And you get characters that were more empathetic that become less, characters that were less that become
Right.
more. Each character is kind of going on their own journey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see there being a lot of characterization, even though you don't know like which side of the argument they come down on, like what their politics are. You understand that they're there for a job and they're doing that job, and that's the most important thing to them. So I don't know. As for
yeah.
like there being no story, there is a story. Like it is. I don't know. There are a lot of events that happen on the way to them trying to get this final interview that could be, you know, amazing for their career, that they'd be willing to risk everything for. I don't know. I feel like many movies have had less of a plot on that to get them on a road trip. It seems to make sense to me.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst is like the main character, you know, if we're going to say anything. And she's the journalist who's seen some shit. And they take on the younger Kaylee Spaney, I believe her name is.
Yeah, the one who played Priscilla. I did not realize that was even the same actress.
Oh, wow. But, nor did I.
Yeah,
Priscilla?
She really is.
Yeah, the Priscilla Presley movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was an independent release.
Okay,
she looks completely different in that one. And yeah, just an amazing performance, but completely different than this one. I just did not realize it's the same person. Just I loved her performance in this as well.
Yeah, for the third act climax, there's definitely a changing of the guard to be as vague as possible, where something happens where the younger journalist gets a rather moving photograph, and you know, if you have any emotion tied to people, you're like, wow, really? Just like that, huh? I would kind of push back a bit, Gray, that I think for as much as the journalists are trying to do things morally correct, they certainly don't end up that way towards the film's end. I just think it's all shitty.
So it's really subtle the way they kind of try and do, and I don't know. So like when they get to the car wash, for instance, it's not like they just say like, oh, well, there is a bit of humanizing and putting the person like in the seat of responsibility for it. Like, let me get a picture of you with this. It is kind of weird, but it does, you know, what could you do as somebody passing through who knows nothing about this other than, hey, try and humanize yourself and try and make yourself responsible for what's happening here. Try and bring this out. Like, this is documented now. This actually happened. I don't know. There are some things that they do that it seems like a slight moral intervention where a lot of it they're not. I think there's a really cool arc that they're going on, and then it just kind of it falls apart for me in the third act. Without getting too specific, I'm kind of being nitpicky on. I think one side would be way better equipped than they demonstrate them, and then you know, there is like a bunker under the White House, so that also kind of bugs me. But that being said, I understand why the characters did what they did. It kind of makes sense. One character is getting way more reckless. One character is really the trauma is coming out, and they're affected by it and aren't even able to like bring up their camera. I don't know. It kind of makes sense. I like that journey. I just think there are little things that could have improved the ending for me. But,
well, yeah. If you want, like, talk about nitpicks. Going back to that gas station scene, I watched it with Brian, who's a British citizen, and he leaned over like right away. He's like, "California and Texas, are they close to one another?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "The same politics." I'm like, dude, this is fairy tale land. Just forget everything you know about America. This is that you wouldn't believe how black and white that those two states are. There's that moment at the gas station where they're trying to get gas and they offer $300, and the guy's like, "I can get you a sandwich. Do you want ham or cheese?" And when she says, "I have 300 Canadian," that's when he's like, "Oh, if you know anything about Canadian money is worth less than American money." So at that moment, it's like, all right, the American dollar is shit. And like in my head, I'm like, ooh, I hope we find out more about what happened to the dollar. and then like that was the last time they touch on that, and like they really throw these little sprinkles in there that if you want to have nitpicks at, I certainly can understand, but it's just letting you know that America's, at a really low point. And
and they kind of give like a fictional timeline too, if you kind of listen to the dialogue or whatever, because they talk about Kirsten Dunst when she was like I can't remember if it was in high school or in college, she got this famous shot of the Antifa massacre, and she's clearly like, late 30s, 40s. So like we would be, 12 years ahead of that or something like that. And then the dude has been in power for 3 terms. So it probably isn't even the same guy who was in term at that time. But it's kind of little things that you have to piece together. There are scraps that it gives you of what's going on in this world, but definitely not who caused it, who's on what side. It's kind of intentional with its vagueness, but
I wonder if the vagueness in terms of like who's responsible for starting it is like, I wonder if that's like vague just to kind of get us thinking about it, or is it vague because, if the Civil War were to break out here in America, yeah, we can argue that one side is more responsible, but the other side, like there's faults. Everyone's going to have contributed to something that kind of led up to that in some way. I wonder if they're trying to say that. Like, do you get what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's definitely intentional, and I think that might have something to do with kind of his last film, Men. I don't know if you guys saw
Men
that.
is an atrocious film. It's a big miss.
Message, and a lot of people were just really saying that like they were completely wrong about him. He's a horrible director, and he doesn't understand this. And it's just so I think his reaction to that made him really pull back. And it's like, no, there isn't a message. Like it's on the audience. Like it's up to you guys. I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I took his interviews for this.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go on, Lindsay.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I also got the vibe that like it's also kind of like a lot of people seem opportunistic in this. They're like, oh, everything's gone to shit, and I can just like kill people now. Cool. I went to high school with this guy, and he never talked to me. Hang in this car wash until you die, motherfucker. Like,
yeah,
for sure. And we kind of saw a lot of that with, a lot of those like weird riots and counter protests and stuff. It was a lot of people kind of LARPing war. I wouldn't put it past a lot of people to really be excited about this and really kind of take it on themselves to, I don't know, be the one who decides what is acceptable and, what is American, I guess.
Yeah. I think every separate scene of the movie, there's some sort of commentary on society. Like there's that. I mean, so this is the thing that I was complaining to Brian, who I saw it with. When they're like shopping for clothes, they're in like a small quaint town, and the person at the cash register is just reading a book, just like could not be bothered. Mentally, I'm like, all right, so the dollar's worth nothing, but we're just looking for dresses and shit during the Civil War. But it wasn't like that town is just so not interested in anything, but there's still something looming. And there's moments like that in every little scene of the movie. And I don't know, I understand people having an issue with this movie for not showing its work, for a lack of a better term. But it's certainly something that should at least get you thinking. I would hope.
I don't think.
Well, yeah, some people just show me story. I don't want to think. Just do the boom boom in front of me, and I'll go home happy.
I want a Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
Go.
Yes, the guy in the black suit, bad guy. Got it. All right, that's it.
Oh yeah, hey, have you ever seen that clip of the dog who's watching Star Wars, and then like the moment Darth Vader shows up, he starts losing it and barking at the screen?
No.
I want to recut that. Like, can you imagine that dog watching Civil War? It's just like get confused, like who do I bark at?
Yeah, we should have changed it to a spoiler chat. Shit.
We're staying pretty vague. We haven't said anything.
I'm trying my best, and every time I'm like, I think I'm giving something away. The opening shot is Nick Offerman as the president with no name, no party affiliation.
I didn't even know he was in it. The moment I heard his voice, I'm like, oh, let's go.
And he's like trying to word his speech a certain way to, like, he goes over the same sentence 3 or 4 times. And I thought it was fascinating with the vocabulary he was trying to use, and it seems like there's you couldn't tell what it was. I mean, everything is just down to your interpretation, but I don't know. What did you guys take from the opening scene where he was like going over lines and tweaking his delivery ever so subtly?
Well, it kind of made him feel like it was all just kind of meaningless to him in a way, because like he's still out here just like, you know, hitting the talking points, hitting the things that'll rile people up. Like he's not calling for peace, he's not calling for a ceasefire. He's saying we've won and we're killing them. It really painted him in a certain light, or at least that's kind of what I got from it. And also, someone mentioned earlier the greatest of all time kind of victory. That's a little Trumpian in the language, but also like it's not really like. But which is also
an asshole leader has never used a superlative.
Exactly. Yeah. No. You're right.
People are definitely reading into that line in particular. But
wow.
Yeah, I got kind of a different interpretation of it. Oh yeah.
Sorry, great. Because you've seen it a couple times now. What color tie was he wearing in the first scene? I can't stop thinking about the red tie that he's wearing at the end. You know what I mean?
That's a good question. I want to say it's red, but I do not remember off the top of my head.
Like it doesn't really matter. Presidents from both parties.
Yeah.
But it's just like I'm just curious, and I almost want to go watch it again just to see that opening scene again. Like,
see,
I would like to know. Now I can't remember.
It's funny you bring up the tie color, because the Jesse Plemons scene, when he's wearing the red sunglasses, yes, it looks silly, but I saw it as this guy always sees red.
CP, internet high five, my friend. Yeah, okay.
We don't call me that anymore, but high five.
So it is red in the beginning. It's a red striped one, where I think it is a different one in the end. But yeah.
Okay. Well played, sir.
Yeah, and like the there's that moment where it, the film comes to a climax, and I lean over and I'm like, there's no chance that the president would be where he is right now. There's no chance.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a nitpick, but I get what they were trying to do, and it's like, I don't know. I guess they do only have $50 million for the budget on this, so I don't know. Are they going to create a whole new?
Holy shit! Like that last battle was so intense. Okay, anyway, sorry. Keep going.
Computers do some incredible things.
They do.
Yeah, there was some heavy CGI in some of it, and some of it looked a little bit better than others. But yeah, I like that whole last battle. Some people are also complaining that felt small. That the breach team was only like 5 people or something like that, and it should have been much bigger if it's this giant war and this is the pinnacle of it. Fair enough. They had a tank there. I think that was pretty cool. But yeah, maybe there'd be more. I don't know.
Well, yeah. How big was the team that went in and got Bin Laden? It was like 5 guys, right?
It's a SEAL team.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Two choppers.
2 choppers. Yeah.
Well, what I thought of, it felt like parallels to either when they got Hussein, or Gaddafi.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of parallels kind of like that they're trying to use too. When they run into the other photographers, they mention like, now I got a picture of the helicopter leaving the roof of like the White House, I think it was, or maybe it was the Pentagon. Now I'm blanking, but there was that's supposed to harken back to the the picture of now I'm forgetting, the embassy where they evacuated everyone with the helicopter.
Oh yeah, and
there's a
Vietnam. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of I don't know, allusions to other pictures, and apparently he was really thinking of those pictures that really did kind of, I guess, colloquially turn the favor against the war. There's some really famous ones out of Vietnam. I don't know. He seems to really be romanticizing journalists and just kind of their impact, if you will. At least that's from my point of view. I don't know. It seems to be like maybe he's wearing the rose-colored glasses with the journalists, but I think they're kind of important, but I don't know if they'd be this involved in everything. I don't know if they'd be included in the breach team, but Again,
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah.
side this is. Like, if these are just rebels, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't care. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I could see why you would say that, Greg. But I feel like with the opening shot being the president and trying to portray power in his speech,
Mhm.
I think what the movie is trying to do is show us that what he's saying isn't what's happening, and it's because of
Mhm.
the journalists that we see what's really happening.
Yeah, I think that he's really kind of leaning into that message and kind of the
Yeah.
importance of them. Yeah, I think that's also one of the reasons why he keeps stumbling on his words in the beginning. But yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a different experience kind of thinking about this film more.
Okay.
Initially, when I saw it, I thought it was like okay. I didn't think it was like that amazing. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've like heard people's criticisms of it. I don't know. I guess I've started defending it and started liking it more, but I don't know. It is very impactful. There's a lot of scenes that are definitely going to stick with me, but it made me think more than a lot of films do. And I think that was his intention. He's putting it on you to kind of make the decision on, was this right? Is this right? I don't know. I really kind of like that, but yeah, this film definitely, it grows on you. My first viewing, I didn't feel the same as kind of I do now in a weird way.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say only, but it's not even the top 10 weekends. So far, we're only 4 months into the year, not even a full 4 months, and
4.56.
um, Civil War's 25 million opening weekend isn't top 10 so far in 2024. I feel like either people are tired of politics and think that this movie is, America 2025 edition and are staying home from it, or they're
Well, for this, I call
hearing
being Jesse Plemons, okay?
I guess that
Or-
is the other criticism. Oh, sorry, you did have an or. Please finish your or. Sir.
I'm sorry. Or we use it to paddle. No. The people are reading all of these conflicting sides, and I think that's a bit of a detriment, because I feel like, if anything, no matter what you take away from this movie, it's something that really needs to be seen to properly process. Like, I wouldn't take somebody's word for it on this movie.
That's a very good
sure.
question. And a good point, actually. Good. Remember when we had Sean on here and he was talking about how it's like a mirror. You're kind of going to see like what you see based off of who you are and your life experience. Like, yeah, no, this is definitely a movie that, I mean, you should never let someone else's opinion kind of color.
Of course. That's
Yeah.
why I refuse to watch stuff. If I intend on watching it, I refuse to watch somebody else talk about it until afterwards, of course.
Except for me,
That
of
makes
course.
sense.
You always watch everything I make.
Oh yeah, dude,
But Alex Garland also made that like perfectly clear in a lot of his interviews too. Like, if somebody has a different interpretation of this movie, he's not going to tell them it's wrong. It's their experience with this. He seemed to be really into that the audience is really involved in this particular one, and your experience is apparently the correct one. So even the people mad at him seem to be correct, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I think the other criticism that we didn't really mention, actually, now I just forgot it in the middle of saying it. But yeah, let's keep talking, and I'll kind of
makes you forget your points. That's the real problem with this movie.
It wasn't a great point. It was another one that I thought was not necessarily a valid criticism, but I'm sure it will come back to me in just a moment.
So an interesting detail my brother noticed, who spent a little bit of time in the Marines before he really fucked up his back. But anyway, a lot of the guys' uniforms at Charlottesville and a lot of the gear that they were wearing were Marine stuff. And that kind of makes sense, because the Marines, at least, the training camp and a lot of their stuff are based in California. And so it kind of makes sense that it'd be a mix of like the Marines and the National Guard and like, random recruits kind of leading the charge in this war. That's my fun little factoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of circling around to the same point, but I think what you're going to bring to this is Like if you see one side or another as a thing, I think that's you just projecting a little bit.
Yeah.
And not you. I just mean
No, it's me.
anybody. When I read anti-Trump movie, I was just like, what? What movie? Did they say the same movie? Is there a different ending somewhere?
I think that's it. It was just that there is that like Antifa massacre and stuff. I think that was also supposed to, heavily imply that this is kind of, it was started because of the right wing or something is what they're kind of seeing it as. Was also another Twitter concern that I saw out there. So I don't know. It really does feel like that kind of mirror thing. You are seeing in it what you want to see. He's intentionally leaving it vague and I guess ambiguous. And yeah, everyone's bringing their own thing to it. But I haven't heard a lot of hatred that seems like
normal,
legit for it, other than just like, I wish it had more. And it's like, yeah, I do wish a lot of films were different, but I don't hear anyone like really knocking what it is or, what it did wrong. Because man, the audio in it is beautiful. There's so many shots of it. And it's interesting the way that he visually switches to the photographs. I guess some of it was taken by the actors and some of it wasn't. But it is kind of interesting with that and the sound of the actual camera. And then just, I don't know. There's one shot, we kind of talked about the scene too, the sniper one, but it has this shot with flowers in it. And it's, I don't know. I just thought that was
the rack focus in that shot. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's at the Christmas scene, right?
Yeah, it just feels like visually, audio wise, like there's so many amazing things done in this film, and then the intentional like kind of ambiguity. I don't know. I really like it the more I think about it, but yeah, I can understand
the
it's not
ultimate
for
message
everybody.
is like, sure, a war starts because of this, but does it matter what started it so much as like what it devolves into and like what happens because of it?
Well, I mean the final dialogue exchange between one of the journalists, I'm like, I really felt dirty about all of it. And that'll do. I was like, oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I mean, that sums up his character pretty goddamn well. Like, it's at the end, like, and he's just, I don't want to give it away, but man, when he said that, I just went, like,
and then again, the final image, it's just like, ew. I don't like being a human right now.
But that's kind of reality. Like, how many people took pictures with Osama's body? And, spoilers, I guess. But
slightly, sure.
I guess I'm kind of dancing around the final like a couple seconds here. Like it's fucked up, but that's what people do in war sometimes. You get like civilization kind of goes out the window once bullets start flying every which way. Like we try to pretend like, we have rules of war, we have the Geneva Conventions and stuff like that. But like how often, I don't know, I'm definitely not an expert on this, but war brings out the worst of us. And you're not going to be the same person at the end of it that you were at the start. A lot like a character going on a journey.
Am I wrong in thinking that Antifa stands for anti-fascist?
No, it stands for... No, yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm just being
So there's a problem with being anti-fascist? I understand.
No, so yeah, it's more like the whole like black bloc tactic. I think a lot of the right kind of sees them as kind of the enemy because those like Trump rallies, it was kind of like the Antifa versus the Trumpers or however you want to define the two. It seemed to be the two sides that were clashing. So when they're calling it like the Antifa massacre, I think they're kind of siding with, I think people are assuming they're siding with Antifa on that because they're the ones who were massacred. So it seems like it would have been like the right wing aggressors, perhaps. Otherwise, we'd call it like the Trump supporter massacre or whatever. I don't know exactly what happened because it's fictional. But then they're also saying like Charlottesville is the front lines in this battle. So there's hints like that people are saying like this is overtly political and it's overtly anti-right. It's like, if you want to see it that way, you can read into it. But.
Sure. Yeah. I think the again, I said this earlier, I think the war really is a backdrop to things. And yes, it certainly is important. But there are so many shots where any other film, like again, if this were 2012 or something, some disaster porn movie like that, the exploding Lincoln Memorial would be the shot. Like it would be a wide, big scope. Just make sure you get everything in shot. Right. Whereas
Lincoln's
that
head
happens.
tumbling through the air.
Yeah, that happens. But like it's going on in the background. We're now with the people that are fighting the war hand to hand, and we're with the people who are taking photographs of those people, which I mean, if you don't want to see that, I understand having an issue with it, but I don't know. It's a movie that asks you to show your work or do your own homework. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's stuck with me a lot more than a lot of the other ones were.
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. So Godzilla X Kong stays. It's doing quite well.
Good for it.
Monkey Glove got legs.
Speaking of disaster porn, I need to roll video again to see what the hell it was.
Can you pause the video, or does it just?
I can't. I can't because I need to pay money to pause.
Of course.
Yeah, and Dune is
not
really
bad. It's
holding
almost
on.
made half of Shrek. I mean,
that's top 6, 7. Where was it ranked? I missed it.
Dune was 5th.
5th.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that movie's a month and a half old now, which is by modern standards, very.
Yeah, it should be on streaming by now.
Right. I'll say, hurry up. My uncle needs help. But yeah, the what was it? Oh shit! I forgot what my point was. All right, so some slight news. Saw 11 has been delayed. The original release date. The original release date was supposed to be September 26th, 2024. That's been pushed back a full year. It's now coming out.
Wow.
September 26th, 2025.
Wow.
I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm hoping that they're
using the time wisely.
Yes. I hope so. Maybe they didn't have a
hoping
script.
people are going to be entertainment starved in the Civil War, so they want to release in the Civil War.
More horror news. The Blair Witch Project is now Blumhouse property.
Cool.
And will be redone.
I heard that.
Yay.
You think they're going like the same route as the original, or are they remaking it?
Shot-for-shot remake on the same cameras, and just like.
Yeah, but isn't that what Paranormal Activity kind of was?
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering, like, can you even reshoot that at this time, or I don't know. There was even like kind of a cool version that was
with a red camera for some reason. That would be incredible.
Blanking on the name of it, but there was one that was very similar to that about the Jersey Devil that was really good. I liked it a lot more than Blair Witch, but it was kind of a found footage one at that same time. But yeah, I don't know. That just seems weird. I don't know if a modern audience would enjoy that, but I guess good luck to them.
Well, if there's anything that Blum is known for, it's buying in cheap and turning it into money. And Blair Witch is that in spades. I don't know. Like he did it. He did it with all 55 Paranormal Activity movies. Why just redo that? I don't know. Didn't they just have a Blair Witch
2 or 3 years ago? Blair Witch. There was 6 or 7 years ago. It
was called Blair Witch, I think, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it just called Blair Witch, the remake, or I don't know.
What the best part about that movie was the marketing for it, because they released this trailer that didn't really tell you what it was about. It was just called The Forest, and it had one of those sad versions of a popular song playing over it, but it really worked and it really fit with the imagery, and it was really perfectly paced. And it was I want to see this movie. And then the second trailer came out and it was Blair Witch, and I'm like, oh.
Oh.
I mean, I guess I'll still see it, but not as excited as I was.
Dice, we're going to redo a found footage film that people in the early 90s thought was real due to lack of easy access to public voice. Good idea. Yeah. How do you, if you can make it modern and make people think that it's real, I don't know, maybe make it AI maybe? I don't like, how do you tackle the same blurring the
This
line?
time it's
like,
on
how
a
do
cell phone. They don't need the big camera.
Yeah. You're not going to need a map that gets kicked into a river. So
No. Their phone falls in the river, and then they don't have their app anymore. I don't know, man. Doesn't sound that great to me. But
no. And again, he did
Dice
it.
brings up CCTV, Blair Witch. Then it would just be paranormal activity. I don't know.
And he already redid Five Nights at Freddy's. So like,
Yeah.
You've done it all, sir. Yikes.
Also, the Scooby-Doo project exists. Nothing will ever top that, okay? Like, if you haven't seen that, it's on YouTube. It's amazing.
Oh, Troy, you're behind, I think. Yeah, I don't know what the thing with the Blumhouse movies is. He hits every 3 to 4 out of 10 times, and it certainly pays for the other 6 to 7. That's basically his MO at this point. Yeah.
And
so
I almost want to call him a genius, but it's not really. He's not even really a genius. He's just kind of like just doing basic smart guy business stuff.
Capitalism. Yeah, I'll buy in low and turn at least one of these 10 movies into something that'll pay for the other 10. He's just smart about it. Because he's been trying to buy Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. He had access to Halloween, so he's just, he spends big if he can. Otherwise, he just, hoards his acorn in a corner.
Who would? Okay, so Freddy versus Jason, Michael versus who would it be?
Isn't there a graphic novel series with Michael versus Ash?
Oh, is there?
I might be wrong. Evil Dead. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
It's
weird.
He's
fought a whole bunch. I know he's fought Marvel zombies, but I can't remember if he did.
Marvel zombies.
If he did fight Jason.
Credit to Chauncey, and we'll probably bring this up again when Chauncey joins us again.
Mm-hmm.
An article in IndieWire, which was put up today, features Disney to use the FAST formula for Marvel and Star Wars property. And FAST is an acronym for free ad-supported streaming television.
Cool.
Or television, if you want to dumb down a bit for you.
So is it like a channel that's only going to show Marvel?
And commercials.
Yeah,
it's
commercials. But the thing is, like, we have that already. First of all, it was television back when it was.
Yeah, but then we had the new version of that. And didn't they buy the new version of that? Like,
Hulu, yeah.
I don't know. It is kind of weird. That seems like Hulu to me. I remembered them having the like free version that would be a ton of commercials. So did Disney just adopt Hulu's model, or what exactly is going on with this?
They did a study that people really like analog storytelling. They want to drop in on something, and to me that's absurd.
Really?
Yeah. So like everything's cyclical.
I kind of hate that.
Yeah.
Knowing things from the beginning. I really like streaming because you can, choose on your schedule. But fair enough. We're going back in time. So it's not even like Hulu then. Well, I guess Hulu did have live TV that was like that. Interesting.
Like there are things like that. Like if you get like a Google box, or I don't think it's called Google Box. Prime has Freevee, which is like this bullshit thing that's like running old episodes of Sanford and Sons. If like you click on it, you can watch something that's streaming ish, and there's commercials every now and again. There's Roku TV,
kind of like that too.
Yeah, Tubi has that too, where like they have like, I know on Freevee because I have Prime or whatever the hell the Amazon thing is. They have like the Hell's Kitchen network where it just shows you And linear, the fact that the term linear is used is comical, because you can watch the Hell's Kitchen network on Freevee and they'll jump seasons. And that's a show where you kind of like, they eliminate from 16 to 1, and you'll watch and there's like 8 cooks left. And then you go to the next episode, it's a different season and there's 15 cooks. And you're like, wait a minute. Or
That's
chefs.
annoying as
Pardon
hell.
me.
Oh my God. Yeah. I hate that, actually.
Yeah, it's
that
the
would be
antithesis of linear. It's really quite frustrating.
Yeah, that doesn't sound satisfying at all, especially when we have the world of, content at your fingertips at your leisure.
If there's
I guess you can still pay for that experience, but
why? What, like, if you have the access to start from the start, or excuse me, you had the option to start from the beginning or just drop in on random shit. I understand the benefit of it if you're not really paying for it, if you're not seeking out like finances and any of your funds towards the thing. I'll drop in on a random episode of Three's Company every now and again, like, oh, all right, well, whatever. But like, to put new content in that format, it's congratulations, you've introduced television.
That is kind of interesting. I mean, I guess so. Prime is going to commercials as well. I don't know. That is, or already has.
It has been. Yeah.
I don't know. That is interesting. Are all of the streamings going back to commercials then, or I don't know? Is this just what to expect? And they're assuming that this way they get the people who don't want to actually pay them, but then they'll get paid on commercials, and then they also have their paid subs. I don't know. Maybe
I hope
it's a smart move, but
I hope it's something close to that. I really think. All right, you got, because they mentioned cord cutters a couple of times in that article, and cord cutters were tired of being charged so much, and there was these constant disputes with like TNT, MTV, HBO, all of these different like networks that they wanted their share of the cable bill. When are these? We have our own streaming service companies. When are they being too greedy? Because people who have cut the cord from, let's just say, $100 cable bill, if you have Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, I realize that they're the same thing, Prime, AMC Plus, like, at what point are you like really taking the piss with these people?
Yeah. No, just
that was a question.
It makes me wonder if everything is going that way. I'm not exactly sure at what point. I don't know. I know I'm fed up with all the different services. I feel like it's a lot of the same thing, but
yeah,
I don't know.
because
It's kind of interesting that they're going with the fast.
It's not even been 15 years yet where people are just like, you know what, screw this. I'll get my, I don't know, whatever channels I want from there. Yeah, right. My uncle has this on his home television.
How long till bunny ears come back? Like, can we get just like?
I think they technically still have them.
Oh, do they? Oh, okay.
I think they're digital bunny ears now, though.
Yeah,
digital bunny ears. Okay.
Yeah, man, I'm old enough to say I remember when they did the RF switch, where they did the analog to digital switch over.
Oh yeah, no, I worked in the call center in the billing department for a cable company when that happened. They fast tracked my training and just kicked me out on the floor in order because they were worried about how bad it would be. And there was definitely a lot of old people who were calling in and being like, "Why are you guys killing my bunny ears?" And I'd be like, "No, it's not us. It's the government.
It's everyone.
Yeah.
It's just a thing."
Yeah. I do miss those days, though. You flip a channel, you find a weird movie, you watch it, you have no idea what it's called, and you never see it again. Like, I kind of miss that, There's a charm to that.
Do you, though?
Kind of.
While I hate some things about, not everything, I do like that there's things like, what the hell's the app? Emily will hear a song in a movie and she'll like, Shazam, that's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
And she'll find out exactly who makes it. And it's just like, oh, that's quite cool. Yeah. And if we're watching something on like Prime or something, if you hit pause, it tells you the actors that are in the shot and all these different things. Like, that's neat. I like that. I for the life of me, I would. There's like 3 or 4 movies that I don't know what the names of them are, and I would love to just go back in time and pause them and have Amazon tell me who the actors were and what movie it was.
Alexa just in your ear.
But we'll explore Fast and that ridiculous mess a little bit further next week with Chauncey.
Nice.
I just hope that Fast fails, and then we have to get Too Fast, Too Furious like a year later.
Oh, Fast Furious is they're carrying on regardless.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait for the Tokyo Drift. It'll be so much fun.
Oh god, it's all anime for like a year.
So in the old school streaming format, Amazon Prime released all of it at once, which is kind of a throwback, I guess, at this point. The Fallout series came out, all 8 episodes of the first season, and
Which usually is kind of a bad thing. It kind of shows that they don't have faith in it, but I
Really?
don't
Is
think
that
that's
what
the
it-
case here. Usually it kind of seems, especially so Amazon, I know they did Reacher weekly. I think they did Rings of Power. I know they were doing Wheel of Time. All of those weekly episode releases, but this one they just dumped all 8 at once, which usually doesn't bode well, but it has been leaked that they have filed for tax benefits in California for season 2 for the same set.
Okay.
It sounds like they're going in, even though it's not like official. So
When you said
Yeah,
tax
that's
stuff for a
kind
second, I
of
got
good news.
scared they were going to like try and get a refund for it or something.
No, they've got a rather large junkyard scene set type deal. So yeah, apparently they had to get more
Cool.
tax benefits on it. So yeah, I guess people found out that way that it sounds like there's going to be a season 2, even though it hasn't been announced. But I really wasn't thinking it would be great when I saw that all 8 were released on the first day. Did that kind of give you guys concern?
No, I was concerned. I have no horse in the race, so I said this before we went live. I've only played about an hour total of Fallout content, and
Really?
yeah.
So
So
back to like 97, man. You've had so many years that you
I've
could
absolutely
them
not
out.
played any of the older ones. It was either 3 or 4 or 76. No, wait, 76, the online one, right? See, I don't even know what the hell I don't even know what the hell the series is. But I certainly preferred the format, but I am not the person that's going to make noise on the internet. Y'all are in those communities. Lindsay, were you turned off by the 8 episodes?
So I was a little nervous by the 8 episodes all at once. I was more nervous by that scene that they released. The first time that the 3 main characters all kind of come together in that junk town. Like the scene itself was fine. I didn't care about that, but like with the power armor kind of doing the Iron Man thing and really slowly moving, I was like, oh, that looks a little weird. But then in context, it actually makes sense. Like, I don't know if we want to go into spoilers or not, but it worked a lot better once I'd seen what led up to that scene. And all my, like, I think it was within the first 10, 15 minutes of the show, I was hooked and all my worries were assuaged or calmed down, I guess.
That first 7-minute sequence is just so amazing. It is so cinematic and it tells so much without like necessarily having to use any, it shows so much more than it tells. And I don't know, like I've gone back to that opening a few different times and it's just, yeah, it becomes even more poignant later on. But yeah, I just love that opening.
Is the opening with the Walt Goggins and his daughter?
Walton Goggins, yeah, he's at the children's party.
Yep.
You can tell that he has fallen from grace, so to speak. And yeah, there's just so many subtle things, like he won't give the thumbs up. You know, just the way that they actually show the explosion. Yeah, it just, I really like it. You experience it through the characters. It's amazing to me. I really
like that,
think
like the explosion happened. Someone was taking pictures over and over again, so nobody noticed it. Was like just it was just such a quiet little moment when it's the end of the world, and it's a quiet little moment. That's awesome.
So in the show, I'm gonna go back and forth because I've seen people kind of gripe about certain things, and whatever, we can explore that. In the show, they have this little bit of dialogue about the thumbs up being the cloud. You know, if the cloud from the explosion is smaller than your thumb, run. If not, grab a chair.
Well,
it's over. Is that what?
So
I know the like the
yes and
guy?
no. So no, I'm blanking on their name. I think it's Interplay was the original ones, and I think they're the original ones who had him doing the thumbs up. They're saying no, there is nothing related to that. But Bethesda kind of put that forward that yes, there's something hidden in that logo. So I don't know, but there is like a whole bunch of so there may be a second meaning to it and why he's kind of winking and looking at that. They might have changed that for the character. It has become canon now. But yeah, there is this one science channel that really debunked that. So first off, the actual speed of the thermal reaction in a nuclear bomb is going to be at the speed of light. So you're not going to have time to even put your thumb up to like test. Like if it's going to get you, it would have gotten you. So there is a problem with that. But yeah, also it could be bigger than your thumb, but you could still be a safe distance away. So it's not a great measuring device in actuality, but I like it for the show. It kind of adds layers to that character.
I don't think anything like getting under your desk at school, that's going to do you no favors. Like you're just going to cook faster.
Well, is it a lead line desk? Is it like the fridge in Indiana Jones?
I like that. I listen again. I don't know if it's part of the game, but somebody survived in a fridge in the series, which is fascinating.
So now I'm blanking. I think it was
that's in the
4.
series.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Lindsay.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
Well, I think
that's a great reference.
I think there is a flash to it
Yeah.
already, like within the first 3 episodes, but I could be wrong. But yes, in the games, kind of an Easter egg is you can find a fridge and you can open it, and there's somebody in there who's wearing a fedora. I think it was in 4, but I could be wrong. Yeah, so that is kind of an Easter egg that there is like an Indiana Jones in this one, and then yeah, they threw another character in it. It's kind of a wink at Indiana Jones as well, but yeah, interesting.
So,
also, I love Walton Goggins. It makes me so happy that he's like the lead of this show. Like that alone.
I'm glad he's getting the recognition he deserves because yeah, like I remember him from The Shield, and like there's just so many different ones that he's done. Like Righteous Gemstones, almost nobody talks about that, but his performance there is just like amazing. I don't know. And he was in this show Vice Principals with Danny McBride. That was pretty amazing. That dude is just awesome in whatever he does. So I'm glad he's trending now, and I'm glad he's getting the recognition.
Yeah, he's like I love Hateful Eight. He's one of the best parts in that.
Yeah.
He's in Django Unchained too.
Go ahead.
I think so.
He's in Django Unchained too.
No, wait, is it?
Yeah, it's a tiny part, but yeah.
He's in a bunch of westerns. Now I'm blanking on the name of that one, but yeah, is it like Justified? But he's in a bunch of them.
Cool.
That dude's awesome.
Indeed.
When he showed up in the second G.I. Joe movie, and I was like bored to tears. It's like, oh, Walton Goggins is here. I was like awake for like 2 scenes, and then they killed him. Like, all right, I'm asleep again.
So what has the reception been from the gaming universe on this?
It depends. A lot of people are really happy with it because like they're doing aesthetically like an amazing job. It looks very much like it's in that world. Everyone seems to love that, and they seem to be taking reverence to like the source material in that, you know, like they're not just throwing in random things or making like the weapons super overpowered. Although they have thrown in a couple of Fortnite guns apparently. I didn't notice them, but that's reported
Fortnite
out
guns?
there.
Really?
So, yeah, that's what I've heard, but I don't know. I didn't catch it in my watch of it. But yeah. So a lot of people are happy with it. But there's some people that saying that it's breaking lore in like 5 major categories. So I don't know. You know, the purists, they kind of go into how ghouls can be made and certain chemicals that are required with the ghouls. That's all not canon. They've kind of changed the NRC. Now NRC. I'm blanking with NCR. Thank you. They've kind of changed like the size of them and like their headquarters would have been somewhere that no longer exists now. So there's some issue with that. There's some issue with the Brotherhood not being as robust and like well militarized as they should be. They seem a little bit more weak and inept.
But they aren't explored at all. Like,
yeah, well, and then the thing is, like, the games that most people are familiar with, like 3 and 4, are taking place on the East Coast, and 76 in Vegas. They're not the closest we get to the West Coast is Vegas, except for 1 and 2. So I don't know. There's a lot that you kind of find out through like reports and through objects you find, but we don't know a lot of what's going on. But there is a location that is a headquarters of something, but it no longer exists in the timeline that's there now. So that is pissing some people off that it's not exactly canon. And then they kind of make canon one particular ending in New Vegas, I guess. So
yeah, I've heard they write out at least 2 of the possible endings of Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is interesting.
How many endings are there?
I think there's 4. Yeah,
New Vegas has like 4 or 5.
But like, when you're doing storytelling and not choose your own adventure, you have to decide what the ending is. I don't understand how people approach this. Like, it's a 1-to-1.
You could approach it like Bandersnatch. I think it was like the Black Mirror of Bandersnatch, where it's like the choose your own adventure. But yeah, fair enough. I don't think many people. It wasn't as popular as they were hoping. I haven't seen that done since then. So. You're right.
Yeah, they're trying to fix like a Fallout Bandersnatch where there's like 4 or 5 different options. Break into the thing, hack the computer, kill the guy.
Dude, Josh Baskin was way ahead of his time with that comic book and Big. And for $15,
yeah,
you guys are glazed over. And Tom Hanks in Big, he's working at a toy company and he designs a comic where you can choose your ending. His name was Josh Baskin.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
I'm an absolute dweeb.
I've seen that movie too much to not get that reference. That is my bad. But he kind of sorry. What's his name? Jonathan Nolan. First off, I didn't realize that he's Chris Nolan's brother, which is weird because Christopher Nolan has a British accent. Yes. So he's really doing a Westworld thing here, but. I really like kind of his approach to this. It is kind of taking the gameplay and the choices that you make into consideration, but he's doing that through different characters. It is really kind of interesting. I kind of dig that approach where it kind of gives you that game-like aspect, and you kind of figure out like what the main traits are of these characters. I don't know. It's not how I would have thought of adapting this, but it's really kind of genius. I really like that, and that it works with his kind of mixed storytelling, whatever you want to call that style that he kind of really put into Westworld. But I'm really digging what he ended up doing with this one. It is not how I anticipated it going.
It's funny. I didn't know that he was the director and creator. And after like the second or third episode, I'm like, man, this really feels like I genuinely didn't know. And I was like, this has like Westworld vibes to it. And then sure enough, his name was in the, and I was like, wow. I wish I was that good without like on purpose. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's as simple as something like Goggins' character is a bit of a cowboy for he's an actor, but he like, I mean, our first experience with him is as a dress up cowboy for a kid's party. Curling chaos. I was trying to avoid
200 years ago.
Yeah, or 200 years in the future. Or
it's true.
30 years in the future.
It's been a rough 200 years. He's not that same actor.
I also love how like he's such a I guess he was a bit of a soldier back before he was an actor, so like he knows how to use guns and stuff. But he's such a badass in the post-apocalypse, which is a callback to Fallout New Vegas when they point out that 200-year-old ghouls have a lot of time to learn how to do things, so they're probably going to be really good at things like shooting and not getting killed in fights. Like, so I thought that was a lot of fun. I also love that they keep using stim packs for like every little injury that people get. Like, it's a little cheesy in a show, but I don't know, it's kind of adorable.
Spoilers, but perhaps I love the stim pack thing. That is really kind of interesting. They do break lore with another thing kind of like that. And then, yeah, it is kind of interesting. But again, it has to do with kind of the ghouls. So I don't know. It's interesting. I can understand why people are upset about it, but it kind of makes sense in a way. But another issue is now I forget what they're called. Is it the fiends? In the show, or sorry, in the games, they're supposed to be people who are kind of like addicted to a substance, but in this, it's cannibals, which wasn't really kind of a thing before. But I don't know, kind of interesting. They've just changed a few things, and that seems to be pissing off a lot of people. They want the canon.
You're always gonna, you're never gonna 100% win over a fan base, though. At the same time too, there's always gonna be something that's gonna piss someone off.
And I'm starting to get pissed off at the cinema sinsification of everything, the nitpicking about everything. Like, does it matter if it's true to the source material and it sucks, or if it's something different and kind of entertaining? Again, I don't really have much skin in the game, but we flashed through that series over the course of 2 days. And that's saying something for us who have, like, we could have watched other things. We have hundreds of movies that are still wrapped, for Pete's sake.
I think I did the same. It was really engaging, and I really liked a lot of the shots. I think the comedy landed really well for me.
Yeah. Somebody brought it up earlier somebody brought it up earlier in the chat about the cousins, like when the people that live in the vault, how to procreate, you're gonna know your partner a little bit more than you think.
So that was another kind of weird, I don't know if it would be like the red pill Twitter space, but a lot of people, their criticism is the main character is rather a whore, so to speak, and therefore immoral. Yeah. So I find that really weird criticism. So not only did she do cousin stuff, but then, she sleeps with this guy the first night, and then she offers another guy at some point. So I don't know. That was an issue with it, but I mean, come on. So I would justify all of those. Like, first off, it's her wedding night. Second off, any teen with hormones, like, I don't know, even look at like the Diary of Anne Frank. There's romance in that. Like, I'm sorry, people are going to be interested regardless of their environment.
It's all in the delivery,
for sure. For sure. And the final one, there's spoilers on, but that makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. So,
100%.
Yeah, the way it's presented, like, do you want sex? Like, that's somebody who's, not well versed. And the way the other person explains, oh, do you mean with my cock? It's just like, wait, what is happening right now? And then
I love the portrayals. So I had no idea. I'm not familiar with Ella Purnell. I don't know if you guys were really familiar with her. She's the lead who plays Lucy. I did not realize she was British at all. Like, her accent is 100% hidden until I heard an interview with her. It's like, oh, damn, that is kind of amazing. She just does an amazing performance, and it really is that like golly gee performance. I don't know.
I love that her catchphrase is "okie dokie." Every time she says it, I just smile. It's so she's so adorkable. I can't get over it.
For sure, and she plays that like naivety just like perfectly for me. She's not stupid. She's just very inexperienced. I really like it.
See, I forgot where I saw it that somebody said that she was a Mary Sue, and I'm like, I don't know what that word means.
So that's the other
officially.
thing. They go through her skills at the beginning and like her training, where she does fence and she does have some combat. I can't remember exactly which martial arts form it is, but she has some training, so it's not like that comes out of nowhere. But I don't know. I don't see her just like randomly overpowering people. Seems like she's using her skills, and she gets the shit kicked out of her in the first battle. Like, that is very unexpected.
That, and she doesn't know jack shit about the real world. Does Mary Sue not mean emotions or like life experience?
I think so. It's just like you're all of a sudden like amazing at everything you do, where she's had skill with a gun, so I think she would know how to use the weapon that she picks up. I don't know. I don't see her overpowering people with her magic like fighting style. I don't know. Generally, that's what's the ones that are used as examples is like all of a sudden this person knows how to do like the magic perfectly, even though they never trained. This person knows the fighting style, even though they've never trained. They threw that all in her backstory. And it was kind of a fun way to do a backstory, you know, like she's getting an interview to see if she can get a husband from a different vault. That makes sense. It tells you all about the character. You get a lot of exposition out of the way, but it shows you like her skill set and that this wouldn't be out of the ordinary for her to be able to fight. But, you know, I don't see her brute forcing a lot of people in this. It does seem like she's using skills and, you know, her mental ability more than necessarily physical. So I don't really get the Mary Sue, but fair enough. I guess it's something they can complain about.
Yeah, I just don't understand complaining for the sake of complaining. I mean, source material, I get it. The Resident Evil franchise before the Raccoon City one, they were not very, they weren't very good or loyal to the source material, except for maybe the second one, which was probably the closest. But
I defend the third one because it's just so weird and trying to be Mad Max, but like it's
that's the desert one.
Yeah.
Extinction, right? Like, but then they released whatever the hell, Welcome to Raccoon City, and it felt like this mishmash of 1 and 2. And Cody, who's a big time Resident Evil guy, I would consider myself a big time, but he's way bigger. Felt like it was not enough and smushed together, and I kind of get that. But like at some point, you have to depart from the source material for the sake of telling a story. Because if you prefer the original shit, just go play it.
Yeah. Also, like I'm not sure how you like directly adapt any of the Fallout things, because like part of the fun of it is like Fallout 3, you're trying to find your dad. The moment you're out of the vault, if you've played the game before, you can go right to where he is. Like you can beeline for it and just skip the entire world on all the characters and just speed run it. So easy. The same thing with New Vegas. If you know what you're doing, you know where the guy that shot you is. Same with Fallout 4. Like it's so. How do you adapt this kind of open world for one-to-one kind of thing? You can't really. You have to kind of pick your characters, pick your locations, and craft a story. Whereas the games are about kind of finding the story, but you can't really find a story in a set medium like television or a movie or something like that.
I think that's one of the reasons why you went with like the 3 different main characters, so they could kind of be like different choices you make as the character. You can kind of see, okay, if I'd gone this route, maybe I'd be doing that. It's an interesting way of going about it, but you're right, that would be tough. Like you're gonna have to make a decision either way. It's not gonna be a 1-for-1 adaptation.
Yeah. Also, Michael Rappaport in his 2 seconds was incredible.
I did enjoy it. I wasn't expecting it. It took me off guard. Somehow that was kept a secret from me. So good.
I kind of want to. You remember that thing with him and the cat a few years ago? I kind of want to cut the audio from him yelling at the cat into him yelling at the bear. Like I don't know how it would go.
I don't remember the cat.
You don't remember the cat with the freaky eyes?
No, so good.
He was just doing voiceover. It's possibly his best work.
Oh, yes. Best work. But do you, Lindsay, you're the only one of the 3 of us who haven't finished it. Are there complaints that you have?
Oh, no, I'm just, I'm up in Oregon visiting family, and we just got a couple of corgis adopted. And,
no, I meant about the show.
That is awesome.
Not about the country.
That's the only reason I haven't finished it yet. I'm just like doing
corgis take time, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I'm ill-educated on corgis.
Well, you need to fix that right now. First of all, a corgi is a dog. I adore it. I would have watched the entire season in one night if I didn't need to go to bed to get up early the next day. Like it's just how it is.
Yeah, we again, we're both pretty blind to the series. The one thing I know, I think I was sent the bobblehead of the thumbs up cartoon guy thing, and I'm like, oh, the thumbs up, and now I know what that means, and apparently I don't. That's not a 1-to-1.
So they did come out and say that is canon now, so you do know what it means, but apparently it's kind of retconned.
So that blonde smiley cartoon guy, he was just giving thumbs up for the sake of Vault Boy. Pardon?
Supposedly it's because he has a cheery disposition, but they kind of changed that.
Vault-Tec is like supposed to be your friend, and like, hey, look, like we're friendly. Look at all these cute characters that are showing you the life you're gonna have. Like it's that kind of a thing.
I'm trying to think if a character from the IT crowd has appeared yet
Wait,
by episode 3.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I would definitely recognize the guy that was in Wedding Singer. Oh god,
Chris O'Dowd.
yeah, Chris O'Dowd. Thank you. I recognize Chris O'Dowd. I might recognize the other guy.
Recognize AOD, I'm sure. I think it's like Richard AOD.
So I'm gonna say, unless it's not one of them, if it's one of them, I'm gonna say no. I haven't seen them yet. If it's someone else, it could be up in there because I don't remember the other guy.
The voice.
Don't think you've seen him yet. I think it's either 4 or 5 that it comes in.
Okay.
But,
all right, because Gray, is that voice in the universe of the games?
from what I understand, yes.
All right. So that was fun.
So,
that was a fun experience.
Yeah, they were able to kind of bring that actor in, from what I understand. But yeah, I didn't actually play 3 and 4, so yeah, I'm definitely not a completist.
Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. There's
I'm
so
sorry.
many different things that could
sorry,
be.
Lindsay.
No, it's okay. It could be Mr. House. It could be the president guy who was voiced by the what's his name? Okay. I'm fascinated now. Okay.
Snip. Would that be a? Okay, so if you don't know what I'm saying,
that doesn't tell me anything. Okay. I mean,
does that?
In the moment, it's not telling me anything. Maybe it will if I think about it. But
Gray, you knew who I was talking about, right? Snip.
Oh yeah, I just don't want to give it away, but yes,
Yeah.
I love that guy. Every time I see him, it makes me happy.
Yeah,
amazing.
the wife is incredibly fond of that person, and she pegged it from the start.
Don't know how you can't be. It's just amazing.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, it's weird. It's weird experiencing it, knowing that there's a bunch of lore, there's a bunch of things that people are complaining about, and just being utterly ignorant to it, and just being like, "This is quite good. Oh, I wonder if this means this." And then just like all these outraged thumbnails, like, they ruined my toy.
I also love that the guy from Lost is in there, like that.
Ben.
That yeah, Ben. Good old Ben.
Oh yeah. So you've seen his full arc of sorts, then.
Oh god, that was hilarious. 3. Yeah, and I love that he hands her a Ripper. It's just like, oh, cool. Okay. Right.
Is that the name of that weapon?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I do wish there was just like a little bit more like, hey, make sure to go at the base of the neck, because that could have been tragedy.
Oh, that would have been horrible. Yeah.
So the little backstory on 404, is that from the game as well? Like all of that, like the training. I felt a lost parallel to the bunnies, but evidently that golden or German Shepherd is
dog meat. Yeah, he's in every game.
Dog meat.
Yeah. He's slightly different in each game. Like in Fallout 4, there's a fan theory that he's not a real dog. He's like a synthetic dog, and we don't need to get into that. But
wow.
Yeah,
we're so heavy on lore right now.
Oh, it's so heavy. Or Gray, you said you haven't played Fallout 4, right?
I haven't. No,
okay,
I need to.
I was going to ask you if something had happened yet, but no, won't ask then. But I did think it was funny that Dog Meat's allegiance seems to change a little bit in the show here and there. Like, oh, you're nice to me? You're my friend. Oh, you're nice to me? You're my friend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was just interesting that they have that training, like on the
treadmill.
Yes. So yes, but he does bounce around between characters. I'm really trying to not trigger any spoilers, but
you're not wrong. He seems to, his allegiances kind of blow with the wind, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's a dog. He loves whoever gets the scritches.
But they're definitely throwing the dog in there for fans, because there's certain times where the dog's just not found, where I'm sure it would be easier to film without the dog there. But he's back. That's good.
There's also so many little things, like when you're scanning like the background, like you see the little comic books that you find throughout the world in the games. There's a mini nuke just sitting in a cabinet at one point. The CP, a mini nuke is like a nuke that you shoot out of a rocket launcher, and like the fact that it's just sitting there is hilarious. That whole town in episode where like the big fight in the first episode happens,
Philly.
the callback. Call it Megaton in Fallout 3. I adored that. There's just so many little things. It's Oh, the one thing I love that was very personal. Ella's address. Oh, sorry, Lucy's address in the vault was like 626. Like her room was 626 or whatever. That's the area code for where I live in LA, Pasadena.
Woof. Head cannon.
I know, right?
So it is the Fallout community. Is there stuff that could be like these Easter eggs? Do they have perhaps bigger meaning in the games that people could feel ashamed or just let down by the fact that it's just this thing and not a story that circulates around it? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
It kind of like in the first game, it's all about fixing the water chip for your vault. So I like that they mentioned that we need to fix the water chip. I don't know where that story goes in the show, but I thought that was kind of a cool little callback. I also I don't know if you see super mutants or not, but you see a hand at one point, so it's like they're coming. So like that was pretty cool. But I haven't really been paying too much to the community outside of just like what I see on Twitter. But what I've seen, people are loving it and just like keep gushing about the random little things. What about you, Gray? Have you seen anything or heard anything?
So I've seen everyone is just like happy with all the Easter eggs. There's so many videos out there saying like, here's all these Easter eggs you missed. Everyone seems to be happy with that. Like every bit of the set thing. The only bit of upsetness I've heard is a lot to do with the canon around the ghouls, and then they changed a couple little things with timeline. So it's like little canon things, but I don't know. For the most part, it seems to be great reception. Everyone's digging it and calling this like more of a renaissance of game adaptations instead of kind of what we had. So
there's not much to compete with.
Yeah.
Also, I almost forgot my favorite thing is in the middle of the fight, he starts eating food after he's been shot. Like that's one of the ways you can heal in the games, by just eating food.
Who's he?
The ghoul.
The ghoul, yeah. Like he gets shot a couple times, then he takes cover, he starts eating some cherry tomatoes. Like I don't know if he's eating them or not, but that was just such a cute little moment. I adored that.
See, you read into it. That's interesting.
Well, it works on multiple levels because
it does.
Yeah. Also, I guess Walton Goggins was like, okay, well, my character would pay for those though, so then he put that into there that he goes back and drops some caps for that.
Yeah,
so it's kind of interesting.
Well, I also loved how the guy kept caps in his boot. Like I know you keep money in your boot, but keeping caps, that'd be so painful. But like, it was
so painful.
Is there a reason in the game why caps are currency, or are they not currency in the game?
No, they're currency in the game. I don't know the main reason other than just, it's fun.
Are they Coca-Cola caps?
I know that in Fallout 1 it was caps, but then in Fallout 2 they actually evolved into something else.
Bitcoin.
And then in Fallout New Vegas, there's actually like a bunch of different currencies. So like the series is always kind of playing with. And you can find pre-war money that's worth like a bunch of stuff. They're always having fun with money in the games.
I don't know how I feel about it because I enjoyed it.
And whenever you drink like a bottle of Coke in the games, you get a cap. It's like you get $1 every time you drink a Coke.
Perfect.
I'd be rich if that were the case.
Yeah, me too, man.
Coke caps. I thoroughly enjoyed it without much, if any, knowledge. I was misinformed on the what's his name? Blonde thumbs up cartoon.
Just Vault Boy or Vault. Does he have a name?
Yeah, Vault Boy.
Yeah, see, I thought the thumb thing was. Now I know what that guy is, but I was wrong. So I don't know if learning more about it would taint at all, but it seems like perhaps not. It seems like it's pretty down the middle as far as game fans and not drawing new audiences. Anybody? Yes, no?
A question I have is the Vault Boy. We see like the gray, like the little cartoons that like show like
Mhm.
the little vault boy being like, "Oh God, I'm mutating." Like, do those like
Mhm.
start showing up? Because I love those in the games.
Sort of like
Okay,
they do have so nothing like straight up like in the games, but
right,
they do have like some things going on like in backgrounds on televisions and stuff
cool.
and on screens. So there's a little bit, but yeah, definitely not exactly like the games. But
Hmm.
they
Yeah,
do a couple of like Easter egg things for everybody that's fans. They definitely do some fan service with that.
oh yeah, there's a lot of fan service.
Gray, do you know why it's something that takes place or the nuke drops in 2077, but it has like this 50s style future thing about it?
Yeah, it was just an alternate kind of history. Like everything kind of since World War II has been so everything is the same up till there, and then from there we kind of just go the nuclear route. So like cars are powered by nuclear reactors
Oh,
and stuff.
Yeah,
So it's interesting, but we kind of kept the aesthetics of the 50s up until the actual bombs drop. But yeah, it's just kind of an alternate timeline, I guess.
is
But
there
very nuclear forward.
is there a phrase for that? Like steampunk, I don't know, cyberpunk?
I guess you'd go like I don't know, like Disney future, I don't know, 50s style. I don't know exactly what you'd call that, but kind of, like
it's like a
Epcot
retro
future.
futurism, right? Like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's a much more succinct way of saying that. Perfect.
Retro.
Yeah, definitely go
futurism.
retro future. But
Also, CP,
I guess that's
oh no, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say like that's the other main thing. Without getting spoilers, they kind of explain like a possibility of who set off the first bombs and why, and that kind of changes some of the story. So a lot of people are upset about that, but I don't know. There's still a way that you could make it still make sense with the way that they're describing it. So I don't know.
That's interesting. They dive into that in the first season because there's so many
Yeah.
different like culprits in the games, and it's kind of nebulous. I mean, there's like definitely a lot more
Mhm.
evidence supporting like A than B, but like there's a lot of different things that could have done it in the game. So that's really cool.
Mhm. So some people are really upset with that, but I think it could still square with what they've set up with the games. I think it just depends on which route they kind of went with it.
It's a not to shade back to Civil War, but it's one of those things where I really didn't care who was behind the nuke. It was just the inciting incident to get them into the shelters.
For sure. Some people really do care about it. They have like
Okay.
extreme lore going back to like the battle of like Canada got annexed and a whole bunch of other there is the battle for Alaska. Yeah, there's a lot of like history to like the whole war that's going on, but
Okay.
it doesn't necessarily change everything. It just kind of the inciting incident might be what changes, but it could still square away.
Yeah.
When is the
Without
most
giving
recent?
spoilers, I don't want to.
What's the most recent game that would kind of correlate to? Is this like a mishmash of all the games, or is there like one game storyline that it kind of sticks to the most?
From what I've seen, it feels
So-
like 3, but who knows where it goes after what I've seen.
Yeah, there is so it doesn't match up with any of them. So like 1 and 2 were on the West Coast, and then everything else has been kind of East Coast except for New Vegas. So we kind of don't know what's been going on the West Coast. Like there's kind of hints of it, but they're putting it like squarely in there. If I can look up the timeline, but it's kind of yeah, it doesn't fall distinctly during the timeline of any one of the other games, so it's kind of its own thing, but supposedly it's leading into what the next game will be. They are saying that it's canon now.
I've heard that there's we kind of sort of know where the next game's going to be set now, which is interesting. I'm down. I mean, it's not going to come out till like 2030 or something like that, so it's going to be a while either way.
But the title sequence at the end of the 8th episode made me feel like it was segueing
Going
into
someplace
something-
specific.
Yeah,
I think we are, but I think it's going to be after events that we possibly know about.
Oh, yeah.
Which they're saying that kind of solidifies one of the endings to that one. So I don't know.
Huh.
Cool. Okay.
So for the most part, it's well received.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of people up in arms other than like, people who are really for the canon, like this breaks it in this amount. But everyone's like kind of praising the actual way that they tackled it. I don't hear anyone saying like this is horrible acting. I have heard people criticizing the main lead, for seemingly insignificant reasons. Like apparently the character is not as moral as they would like.
What?
And they're just like saying that her eyes are way too big. And I think that her eyes are very big, but I mean, I think she's very striking. But yeah, there was also an AI controversy where somebody had AI make her suit look a little bit more like the characters and basically just gave her like a much shinier, larger backside. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I haven't heard anyone really hating on it with a whole bunch of like, here's why they did this adaptation wrong. Like we're getting with like a lot of Halo or a lot of the other adaptions.
Halo.
Yeah, they seem to be really kind of taking into account a lot of the background and a lot of the lore in it, even if they've changed a couple of things.
Yeah.
I thought the show was good, but the fact that you told me that her ass is bigger in the game, it's actually garbage. The show.
Well, technically, she's not a character in the game. They just tried to make it more like that. So
For fuck's
I know
sake,
that kept showing up in my Twitter timeline too. It's like, okay, like this is kind of weird.
your
They got
Twitter
AI
is
to
cursed.
smooth out the costume. It's very cursed, man. It's
If
a
it makes
roll
you
of the
feel
dice
better,
every
I
time
saw
I
that
open it.
too. So it wasn't just you. Like that showed up in my side too.
Okay.
What a weird
yeah,
thing to complain about.
for sure. When I thought the costumes were great in this, and I think she's a very attractive lady. I don't know why people are mocking her eyes or her ass, but fair enough.
Because they
Yeah.
don't get to touch her ass. That's why they're making fun of her.
That's probably it. Does the 8-episode release it all at once structure, does that bother any of you?
I mean, honestly,
Did
I'm
it
kind of
first, only that I thought they didn't have confidence in it. Like I thought it was going to suck because there's a lot of shows that have been released as the full season from networks or whatever channels that don't generally do that. That generally means that they don't have a lot of confidence in it. Like Echo is kind of the one that I'm thinking of most recently from Disney. Prior to that, almost everything was released weekly. And then, yeah, I'm thinking all the latest ones from Amazon, like Invincible, The Boys, Reacher, like all those are weekly ones, where this was just a dump of 8. I thought that didn't bode well, but yeah, I've completely changed my mind. Apparently it doesn't mean anything. So I'm looking forward to Velma season 2, which is all coming out on like the 25th or something.
You're the
Yeah.
one.
You're the one.
One. There can only be one.
You know, you could have Mindy Kaling just hand deliver it to you too.
That would be awesome. That would be great.
Yeah, I see. I'm trying to think if I had to wait on a week-to-week basis, if we would have stuck through it. It's weird saying that, but maybe it's an issue.
I think the week-to-week basis works better for a show like this, where it's like a continuous story. Whereas like maybe like something like Disney's What If for Marvel, where it's like each thing is kind of like its own like
Non-linear.
little, like, you know, maybe that's okay for like all at once. But like I did like streaming all at once, and I do like it for some things. But I have been enjoying like you said, Invincible and things like that are doing like the week to week. I wasn't crazy about the time, like the 4 months in between
Yeah,
but like
that was
it also didn't
a bit
bother me
much.
as much as other people. But like it wasn't my favorite. But it's, I don't know. I'm kind of down with the old school method. It worked for so long for a reason.
Yeah. Pre-streaming, I used to watch like the 24 seasons on whatever the DVD set was and drill through those in a weekend. I tend to be somebody who would prefer to either wait for all of it to be handy and, you know, go at my own speed. But I don't
I've
know.
been kind of spoiled that way. Now
Yeah.
I prefer that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There is something to the weekly thing. Like right now I'm kind of obsessed with X-Men 97, and man, those weekly ones are amazing. Like I'm really digging that. So I don't know.
It's
It
like
really
a
depends on
treat
the show.
waiting for the week for each of those. I haven't seen
think
the
so.
newest one yet. So I haven't seen episode 5. I've seen the first 4 though.
Have they said how long that
5
season's going?
goes so hard, 10 episodes, and they're already signed on for season 2, but Bo DeMeo got kicked out of there. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, if you haven't seen 5 Men, it goes so hard. It is like the red wedding of X-Men. It is amazing.
Okay.
Wow.
Have they said why Bo got kicked out yet, or is that still nebulous?
So it's not official. Yeah, there's rumors that it's because it's Disney and he has extracurricular activities they don't like, specifically an OnlyFans page, but it's not confirmed.
Okay.
But I don't know. James Gunn got brought back. I think after the reception of this, they might bring him back.
But James Gunn didn't have an OnlyFans page
that we know of. He
Only
did make
James.
Romeo and Juliet, though.
You what?
Only James.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
That's got to be worse than an OnlyFans page.
You think? Kind of hard to tell.
For me, it depends on how sophisticated a show is. The Sopranos and Mad Men work week to week because there's a lot to mull over. The Boys, on the other hand, should be bingeable.
Fair enough.
I go back and forth on it. I feel like
Yeah.
season 1 was great for week to week, but the season 3 could have been bingeable, I think.
I think the only thing that got me into Gen V was the fact that it was week to week. I could actually think about it and it's like, oh, okay, they could be going here. And then they didn't go anywhere that I thought they were going with it. I put way too much into it. I think if I binged it, I would have been like, this is as horrible as everyone said. I just thought they were going in a different direction with it. And yeah, I don't know. But I think that caught my interest way more because it was weekly. I think if I just binged that whole thing, it would have just been horrible. Where there were weeks that I really liked it because I thought the potential of where they were going. But man, they did like the Chekhov's gun like 3 different times in that show and never paid it off.
Oh, really? Ooh, that's awkward.
Yeah. Somebody pees in a liquor bottle. You assume that's going somewhere, but it does not. In somebody else's office.
Okay.
It's funny that you bring up Sopranos and Mad Men, Jacob, because I feel like those are like non-linear with benefits. You could drop in and out of those shows. Because we've been watching Sopranos rather heavily as well, and it is something where we've taken breaks like that, and I guess that does make sense. Where I feel like something like 24 or Lost or something that is really kind of bingeable is best for that. But we've kind of done it with both. The Sopranos we've had 3 episodes in a row or whatever. So it's really interesting. I mean, fast should be the future, right?
Yes. We're going back to it, man. It's gonna be great.
Television. It's just called television. And what happened to TiVo? Did we ever find out what the hell happened to TiVo? Because
I think some people still have it, but I think you have to have not cut the cables for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be like what we know as VOD or DVR or whatever was TiVo. You TiVo'd something, like you Google something, but now it's DVR.
When I worked
They messed
for that
up hard.
Cable company, we were doing the DVR thing, and we weren't allowed to say it's like TiVo.
It's a brand name.
It's a Patton Oswalt. Sopranos is light on plot but heavy on subtext and character. I like it being week to week for that reason. Sure. What season are you and M on? We are currently sifting through 1 and 2 just for the sake of creating content. Well, we did get through it, and she had watched 1 through 3 back in New York years ago, and we're just kind of working our way around to seasons 1 and 2 for the sake of having it fresh. Probably in my brain more than hers, but yeah, once we finish those 2, we'll be putting stuff out.
Hell yeah.
You won't get this, but TiVo's a living hell for modern cable guys.
Oh, really?
I bet.
Why?
That's fascinating.
Now you opened this rabbit hole. Is there any other news or anything to discuss before we split off here?
I felt really old when I saw that Shrek was having its 20th anniversary. That hit home.
And in the movie theater, too.
Yeah.
I did not realize that till he had it on the box office numbers. That just, I'm old. That's not cool.
It's okay. We're all getting old together.
I'm trying my best
Do you
not
remember seeing? Yeah. I never
I
thought
remember
I'd
seeing
get the
Shrek
chance
2
to
in
see
theaters.
Shrek through. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I didn't think that would be an option again, but here we are. And I missed it.
I'm okay with it. I've got it on DVD.
So we're right up around 2 hours. I will let everybody know. So Brian was here, as you guys have figured out from the short that was on the channel from this past weekend. We actually recorded something for supporters of the channel, but I don't know what it is about me and audio, but his file is corrupt. So
Oh.
I don't know if we're going to try to redo everything via like a private stream broadcast or something, but we watched Civil War. We did a spoiler chat. Half of it is okay. His half is broken, and it is all
How
my fault.
corrupt is this audio? Is it completely corrupt? Is it beyond repair?
It sounds like
I just
that's what it sounds like.
Okay, because I had one that was underwater, but there is actually like some AI programs that can kind of help you. It made me sound less underwater, but it didn't sound great, but it was salvageable. But if it's just giving you like the error thing, I don't think you're gonna get anything out of that.
It literally sounds like just that.
I'm sorry, man.
Where his voice
That's
is
the worst.
I've been there.
Done that in a real recording before. That really sucks.
What is that? Do you know what that is? Is it like, was the wire loose or something? Maybe.
It could be that, or it could just be a file getting corrupted. Where sometimes it just I could be wrong, but my theory is gremlins.
Oh, it's always gremlins.
Just
yeah.
We do have some gremlins in the house, so that's
Like Mohawk gremlins, like.
Linzo, what do you got coming up?
Well, I'm not going to have anything for a week or two. But before I left, I had started working on and had watched a whole heck of a lot of them, several, let's say. It felt like a whole heck of a lot of the movies by the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey guys before they started doing Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. So
not the Pooniverse, but the other one.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get into the origins of the Pooniverse and kind of see what these guys are doing before. And I'll say it was bad. I'll say that as a teaser, and when I get back, I'll just pick up where I left off and hopefully get that out. By the way, they made a movie called Dinosaur Hotel. That's about a bunch of people having to survive till 6 a.m. with a hotel full of dinosaurs. They made 2 of them. And then they made a movie called Snake Hotel. Exact same plot, except instead of dinosaurs, it's snakes.
It's a franchise. The hotel franchise.
Exactly.
I think those are Hilton's, actually. I'm pretty sure they are. Gray.
Yeah, I should have a video out by Saturday on comedy. But other than that, you can always check me out on That Darn Kidda's channel every Thursday for the Thinkers. Charles comes and visits a lot. And yeah, other than that, I should have something out in the near future. So yeah, stay tuned. But yeah, that's about it. What about you, Charles? Do you have anything going on coming up that people should know about?
Well, we're going to try to do something in the realm of Civil War spoilers. Again, I have half a conversation, which is my half, and that's the shitty one, where it's just a bunch of yep, just a bunch of that. So we'll try to amend that some way. I do really want to get into spoilers with other people who have seen it, because the whole gimmick of Brian and I going to see that movie was we argue like all the time, and we actually were of the same mind when we left the movie. And I was just like, this is no fun. This is boring. I expected to argue. Speaking of arguing, last week on Thinkers, man, what was I arguing on behalf of? It felt like 6 against 1.
Me?
No.
Was it the one movie, the Antisocial Network thing?
Oh yeah, the Antisocial Network, and the Image that was released by Bethesda on
right.
What the hell was it?
Yeah, what the hell is that game? but it's pre-release
Is it Rebels?
footage.
Outlaws?
Yes, I
Oh,
want
the
to say
Star
it
Wars
is,
game.
but it's the Star Wars game, and they showed the actress and then the character that she's portraying, and she doesn't look quite as attractive. The jaw is definitely distinctly different, but I don't know, Charles. So I was on your side of it as well. Like, it's not released footage or gameplay from the actual game. It's an unreleased game. Who knows what exactly it's going to look like? I think you brought up the Sonic thing back then too. It's like, they can take feedback and they can change things before it's released.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the other thing, like, when you try to argue something like it's not about me being attracted to the thing, and then you only complain about the fact that the source actress is pretty and the video game model isn't, it's like, well, then what's the problem?
It's not only about that, but I like to leave my options open. Yeah, it's interesting. They did bring up that like the male characters looked a lot more like the male characters, and they did, but I don't know any of this character's backstory. Like, is she a human even? I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I forgot to bring up like Planet of the Apes and how the actor should be pissed at what he ended up being, or Snoke. The actor who plays Snoke is the same guy. It's just that's not very flattering. But yeah, it's fun if you want to hear us just debate. Well, not debate. Get into heated discussions about things. Thinkers is where it's at. And I tend to be the only one sometimes. Well, not the only one, Gray. You're right. You were with me on some of it. For some reason, I brought up cuties, and I don't know why. And that was rough.
And I'm on your side on that one too. There was a message that they were trying to convey on that. Whether it was effective, like, that's debatable. But I don't know. There was an attempt.
Yeah, French. They were trying for a hole-in-one, and they got it in the sand trap. That's the best analogy I can use. Yeah, I understand what you were trying to do, but you missed.
It's so funny to me that movie sparked so much controversy, because when I finally watched it, it was just kind of boring. Like, it was very predictable. Like, I feel like I knew how it was going to end about 10 minutes into it. I feel like it needed to shake up the formula it was doing a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a freaking veteran at this point with all these shock movies that I've sat through, like Irreversible, Serbian Film, all those things. Cuties, much like is Civil War and to kind of wrap everything up, Fallout. When the bomb blows up, what those three have in common is they show you the actors reacting to the big moment.
Yeah.
And that is key. And I think people kind of... Are you all right?
Oh, sorry. My mom's taking the corgis out for a walk, so there's two corgis in my room. So
I was talking about cuties, and you had this dumb look on your face. And
well, these are a couple of cuties on the floor right here. Let me know.
Careful. I think what gets lost is the fact that sometimes a movie's not, trying to say something is good, especially if they show characters that react the way that you react. Like, they're your vessel for your emotion. So I don't know, sometimes it feels like there's overreaction for things that are you taking all of it in? Because they kind of, granted, they don't say these things sometimes, but they, like, I forgot which one of you brought it up, the reaction shot for that opening scene in Fallout is so powerful. Like, is it my thumb or your thumb? And their eyes are just, it doesn't.
Oh my God, that's right. When she said that, my heart just sank. I even though I knew what was coming, just like, that was just such a good line,
dude,
such a good delivery.
We're a pair of shitheads too, because I think between the two of us, we're like, you could add them both together. It doesn't matter. You're done. Yeah. So we're really emotional when we watch this stuff, clearly.
Oh, that moment where like the rich asshole is like getting into his like own personalized survival bunker, and he like pushes his friend out. Like,
who they were just breaking bread moments ago. We're friends and neighbors, but not in this time. It just says so much in that like opening 7 minutes. I think it's masterfully done.
Yeah, Lindsay, how long do you think it'll take for you to finish Fallout? I know you're not home, so
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch an episode or two tonight. If we're going to try and go again next Monday or Tuesday, I will definitely try and make sure I've watched it all by then.
no
If you
pressure.
want to do something sooner than that, though, I can't promise anything, but I will definitely try and get it done by next Monday or Tuesday.
Well, the earliest we could do it next week is Monday, so no
perfect.
pressure regardless. But you're in a hotel for Pete's sake, so it's fine.
I'm in an Embassy Suites. It's very nice.
Excuse me, Embassy Suites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds sweet.
So we will circle back to the fast discussion that Chauncey brought up. Hopefully further in depth with Fallout. And the big release for the weekend's what, Abigail? Shit, I didn't do any homework. Stupid StreamYard made me break all of my habits. The ministry, what? Yeah, Abigail and the Ministry of
it's the guy Richie one. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly
Warfare. Yeah,
that's getting some controversy right now due to Reacher's comments, Alan Richson's comments recently. So, there's some people already boycotting it. So,
what was that?
He went into a lot in an article, but it's causing some controversy with both Christians and the right wing. So interesting.
The easy stuff is
he was seen as.
Oh no! I just show that he's on is kind of pro cop. He said some anti.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Start over, somebody.
Sorry, didn't mean to talk over you. He was kind of seen as pro right wing and pro Christian before because he's Reacher and. Kind of the characters that he's playing, but he kind of went anti that in an interview. So it's interesting, but he also talks about mental health and he's going through a lot. So it's kind of interesting, but people are boycotting it already. So
which side are the snowflakes again? I'm just trying to figure things out.
I don't know if snowflakery has a side, but fair enough. They do seem to be calling the other side snowflakes a lot.
Yeah, it's. I'm trying to remember who the Karens are, who the snowflakes are, what free speech is, because that's blurry. All right. So next week we'll. I don't know. Maybe I'll dig a little bit further, and hopefully this StreamYard situation will be figured out, so we don't have that dumb duck in the corner. But and still images. That's where I'm really hurting right now. But thank you to Gray and Lindsay. I have been Charles. We'll see you next time.
Bye.